what we have here is what's called microgreens, which are like sprouts, but you let them grow so that the first leaf shows, and then you cut them and eat them and put them on sandwiches and things like that. And they're loaded with nutrients, and they're very easy to grow, but we have a little technique here that makes it so that once you set them germinating in a particular kind of dish, you never have to touch them again until you harvest them. If you look closely under here, you'll see that there's a tray with little paper towels hanging down that wick up the water. So, and into about a 1/4 inch of soil and into the seeds. So, like I say, you never have to water these things, even if it's like 2 weeks later. You don't have to have watered them. Okay, so to start, what we're going to do is get these things are available at our local dollar store for, guess what, $1 each. Trays, into which I cut slits. This is an old one of the originals. All I have to do is cut a slit here, in the middle, and on the other side. And it's kind of hard to cut them, I must admit. You can use a hot knife. You can use a drill with a little Dremel bit. This is like a Dremel tool, which has a type of rotating blade on it, which makes it really easy to cut these things. This thing was $20 at Walmart, and this attachment is like $10 at a hardware store. So if you want to make a whole lot of these, this is kind of what you do. Anyway, you can cut a slit with a hot knife that's been held over a fire. You can do that, or you can do an angle cutter, angle grinder with the angle grinding thing on it, about 4.5 inches. I should make these for people because that's what makes the whole project work. All right.
You could use a soldering iron, couldn't you?
You could use a soldering iron. That's right. So this is made of bamboo, and it's sustainable. It's really good stuff, and you end up taking these things and tucking them in here. It's best to use a paint scraper. They're going to hang down into the water. And the cleaner you can cut your little slits, the better off you're going to be. This is a really rough one. And then the next thing, I make it go down into the middle. Turn it over and even it out. These bamboo paper towels are very, very strong. You can wash them in a washing machine up for like 5 times and they hardly lose any strength. Okay, then you do it with another paper towel. And they're tough. You can use regular paper towels too. It's just that if you're squeamish about whatever chemicals might be in ordinary paper towels, you might be concerned.
Where do you get those?
These I just got at our local Hy-Vee store. They're cheap. I mean, they're not much money considering you can reuse them. And I'm going to have to cut this. And this goes into the very same hole that the other one's in. Okay, now what I'm going to do next, off camera, I'm going to fill up this tray with warm water. I'll put this down and then you'll see the water wicking up. It's kind of neat. So I'll be back in a minute. Just a minute. I'm going to place this on top. And within a very few seconds, you'll see it start to wick up. I like to get it nice and flat. There, you can see it wicking up already. In the center. See that? I'm going to speed the process up. Alright. The next thing to do, this is a seedling mix, but we found that if you just use good soil, it also works. Most of the nutrients that are going to be used in the growing of these plants for the first 2 inches are within the seeds. So it's not really, in fact, you can grow them directly on paper towels. Not quite so lushly, but you can. I've done it. There's people on the internet that brag about it. So I'll be putting probably about 2 cups, just to cover it 1/4 of an inch here. And then take a knife and even it out like a road grader. This is a great project for kids. They love it.
And they get to play with very sharp.
Yeah, well, you don't give them a sharp knife. You give them like a piece of wood or something. I think I got too much on here. I'm just going to scrape the rest of this off and pick it up later. That's nice and smooth. Then, this time we're going to grow, this is broccoli. Those bigger ones were radishes. And these have been sitting for 2 years in the basement. And they still sprout just fine. So we got a regular spoon. And what you want to do is spread them so that they're almost touching each other. And the secret is to dibble your fingers like this. And it's very easy to control the amount of seeds that are coming off of that spoon. Any other way, you're going to have trouble. Do a little bit more. These things are absolutely fantastic on sandwiches because it's absolutely fresh, and a lot of these greens have a nice kind of a biting flavor, like broccoli does. Radishes are super cheap, and they grow a full crop within about 4 days, including the germination. All right, so now I'm going to make sure it's nice and wet. So I'm going to be growing, you can grow a whole lot of things. There's this really neat book that I'll show you in a second. You can grow about 100 different types of plants as microgreens. Here's a very nice book. Microgreen Garden by Mark Matthew Brownstein. And it's loaded with pictures. And it shows you exactly how to sprout many different types of microgreens. Okay, the next thing I do is I get a new lid like this. It's been unslit, and I cover it, and I put it into a dark place, like up here in this cupboard up here. And depending on the seed, it'll take a day or 2 days or 3 days or so to sprout. And I think what you're supposed to do, look on the internet, but I think you're supposed to wait till it gets about that tall before you take it out and put it in the light. So I close that, and then what I do, I put white duct tape on top of a piece of mylar. I'll tell you about how to get that in a minute. And then I hot glued some magnets on that, so it just kind of fits onto the, clips onto the light. Like that. And look in the end there, it's just super bright there. It's almost like sunlight. And so we have 2 levels of this stuff. And you can buy cheap shelves from big box store and make your own unit like this. To me, the most important thing are 2 elements. One is trays in which slits have been cut with the lids, and you allow the water to wick up so you never have to water it. And the second thing is getting a light source. Like these are LED work lights, 2 LEDs in each 4-foot work light for $15 from Walmart, and they'll last for 20 years, 30 watts each. So you're talking about 60 watts, 10 hours, 600, about maybe 20 cents a day for the power to grow all these things. And so I keep them, the seeds, the growing plants are under this stuff, and the seeds are in these dark cupboards. And that's it. That's the whole story.